I'm Bill Curtis and very proud to have been asked to host tonight's program and welcome you on behalf of the Chicago Committee. You may be seated. We thank you for your support of the Heroes Tribute Scholarship Program for Children of the Wounded. It was established by the Chicago Committee in cooperation with the Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation. Nearly 13,000 Marines have been wounded in action while serving in Afghanistan and Iraq. Hundreds have undergone major limb amputations and suffered severe head trauma. With breakthroughs in prosthetics and rehabilitation techniques, and especially with the support of their families, these wounded warriors are working to return to their former lives. Often, it is difficult to actually see the disabling effects of their injuries, but they can last a lifetime, making it difficult or impossible for these brave young men and women to provide the post-high school educational opportunities they want for their children. That is where the Chicago Committee makes an impact and why you are all here tonight in support of the Heroes Scholarship Program to educate the children of wounded Marines so they can thrive in the America their fathers and mothers helped to defend. Tonight you will hear directly from 4 of the Marine families who are grateful for this special program. And to begin, here with us tonight from Houston, Texas, is Sarah Doffenbaugh.
They say once a Marine, always a Marine. My husband Donnie wanted to be a Marine since he was in high school. He enlisted right after graduation in 1999 and served stateside until he was shipped to Iraq in 2004. He was second in command of a unit of 13 Marines who went out every day to help the locals to get their towns back to normal. It was all pretty routine until one night of October 12th, they stopped and searched a vehicle. As it sped away, the passenger opened fire with an AK-47. In a blink of an eye, Donnie and our lives changed forever. A bullet shot through his jaw and lodged in his brain. To this day, if it moves even 1/8 of an inch, it could cause devastating consequences. He called me from the medevac unit. I asked him what was wrong. He said, "Somebody's been injured." And I said, "I knew it." I didn't hear anything from him for several days. Donnie spent 2 weeks in intensive care in Iraq before he was sent to Bethesda Hospital. But he survived and began a long stint of home recuperation. In the hospital at Bethesda, General William Nyland came to visit Donnie to give him his Purple Heart. He tried to rise at his bed and stand at attention. "Don't bother," the general said. "We're here to stand at attention for you." To this day, Donnie suffers from migraine headaches, chronic neck pain, and post-traumatic stress. We have 2 children, Colin and Gabby, who we hope to see graduate from college one day. Thanks to your generosity and the Chicago Committee, this is now possible. So we are here tonight to say thank you to you. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my husband, Corporal Donnie Doffenbaugh, and my 2 children.
Now I'd like you to meet Nick Devillio. He is 17. He is a junior in high school in Richlands, North Carolina. Nick?
This may not come as a surprise to you, but my mother married Ray. I wasn't really ready for life with a Marine. I was 8 years old. He wanted me to make my bed every day, keep my room clean, and always act like a man. For a while, he just kind of seemed like a grumpy old man. He grew into be my best friend. He's a great guy. We wrestle and joke around, but he also keeps me on the straight and narrow. In 2009, he deployed to Afghanistan after several tours of duty. His unit was on a routine foot patrol when an IED exploded, severing both of his legs. It was December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas. He spent 3 months at Walter Reed waiting for his prosthetics, and 2 years later in rehab, learning how to use them. I remember the first time I visited him in the hospital. My mother jumped up on the bed, and that's when I winced. I thought she was gonna crush his legs, but then I realized he didn't have legs, and they weren't gonna grow back. I broke down into tears. There's a lot of humor in the Wounded Warrior Ward that people don't get. We joke that he's gonna get a bike for Christmas, he'd get a kick out of it. I guess it's a way to get through the real pain and trauma. When I'm out walking with my dad and he falls down, people give me dirty looks if I don't rush to help him back up. And when he struggles, back up on his own is what makes him feel like a man. I still wrestle with him, and even without his legs, he still beats me. When it's time to be serious, he's a father. He's really strict, but he's hilarious. He's my mentor, my best friend, and my hero. When I graduate, I hope to attend Louisiana State University, and thanks to the Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation and everyone here tonight, that dream is now possible. So it is my pleasure to introduce my mother, Vicki Mackey, and the man who's an inspiration to everyone who meets him, Sergeant Major Raymond Mackey.
From Akron, Ohio, allow me to introduce Tina McIntosh.
Good evening. I am Tina McIntosh, the wife of Captain Charles McIntosh, and together we are the proud parents of Shelby McIntosh. Thanks to the Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation, Shelby enrolled this fall at Walsh University in Canton, Ohio to pursue her dreams. And I'm here to tell you that your confidence in her has not been misplaced. My husband served his country for over 12 years. On September 11th, 2001, he was a Navy corpsman in Washington when a plane crashed into the Pentagon. And he then spent 72 hours finding and retrieving bodies. After serving 8 years as a Fleet Marine Force corpsman, he applied to Marine Corps Officer Candidate School and proudly graduated. Charlie served 2 tours in Iraq as an operational corpsman in the initial invasion and as part of PSD in Fallujah. After 2 tours of duty in Iraq, he deployed again to Afghanistan in 2009 as the OIC of Afghan Border Patrol mentoring team. That's when an IED blew up his Humvee in Helmand Province. I'll never forget the day we heard. Shelby and I hugged and cried, and there really wasn't much to say since all we knew was what the Pentagon had said, that Charlie was involved in a casualty. Then she cried, I cried again, and she looked at me and said, okay, that's enough. Daddy needs us, enough. So we got on a plane to Bethesda and spent 16 days in the traumatic brain injury unit with Charlie. Every morning, we had to reintroduce ourselves to Charlie because he couldn't remember us from the day before. It was a long and slow recovery that we're still fighting every day. The doctors say there are 32 ailments afflicting my husband: traumatic brain injury, PTSD, just to name a few. I'm just grateful that he can be here with us tonight. But Shelby can't because she has obligations at college now. She's like that, dedicated, hardworking, beautiful, and brilliant, and always ready for a challenge. She's going to earn that degree, knowing once again that the Marine Corps family is standing beside her. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my husband and Shelby's dad, Captain Charles McIntosh.
And finally, from Fort Collins, Colorado, Amber Jones.
I first met my husband in 2004. We flirted on the phone for 4 months before we met in person, but it was a wonderful 4 months. We spent 3 weeks together before he was scheduled to deploy to Iraq, and on the night before he shipped out, he proposed. 5 months later, he was riding in a Hummer that was hit by a double-stacked anti-tank mine. John was blown 25 feet into the air, and he lost both legs in that attack, and still has shrapnel in parts of his thighs and his wrists. I immediately flew out to see him and never left his side for the 2 months that he was in the Naval Hospital in Bethesda. Before he agreed to any amputation, he wanted to make sure that I was okay with it. And I didn't fall in love with your feet, I told him. 2 months later, we were married in that hospital room with only doctors and nurses present. I can't tell you how much I admire John. He's brave, he's loyal, and incredibly giving, and a terrific father. He had 2 children, 7 and 3 years old, when I married him. We have gone on to have 2 more children together. And wouldn't you know it, the first of our babies, Wyatt, was born missing his right foot. John is retired now from the military, but will go anywhere and do anything to help other wounded veterans. There have been dark points and low points. John will never let you see what I see behind closed doors, but we live our lives day by day and never take anything for granted. We travel and play with our kids and live like there's no tomorrow. Thank you to the Chicago Committee of the Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation. There's one worry that we don't have now, that our 3 sons and our daughter can go to college to get the education they need to succeed. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you my hero, a man who could not be defeated and the best father in the world, my husband, Staff Sergeant John Jones, and our 4 children, Jade, Keegan, Wyatt, and Everett.
These 4 are not the only wounded warriors in the room tonight. Seated at tables throughout the room are 22 more. Please stand as I read your names in acknowledgement of your service, and please hold your applause. You will have an opportunity to applaud. We begin with Sergeant Justin Bajema. I can't see you, so I'll just assume that you're up. Sergeant Joseph Bitts. Corporal Joshua Burdine. Staff Sergeant Chad Carter. Corporal Noah Currier. Sergeant Kedrick Dozema. Sergeant William B.J. Gannam. Sergeant Chris Horsley. Lance Corporal Joel Klobnak. First Sergeant Tim Lesage. First Lieutenant David Lewis. Staff Sergeant Kevin Lewis. Sergeant Patrick Main. Staff Sergeant Michael Mendoza. Sergeant Chris Moricki, Corporal Vincent Naverskis, Corpsman Petty Officer 3rd Class Brian Safford, Corporal Jeremy Stengel, Corporal Oscar Hernandez Velasco, Sergeant Jason Whitling, and Staff Sergeant David Scott Warswick. Now, you can give him a big round. And now you have something really to talk about at your tables. Joe Tokars is here with us again for one final musical salute to all 26 of our Marine heroes and their families.
If tomorrow all the things were gone I worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife, I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died and gave that right to me. And I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died and gave that right to me. And I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Now please take some time to get to know the Marines sitting at your tables, and we'll have more information about them in your program books and on our screens. I'll be back after dinner to continue.